cracking, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. New video. Today I want to talk about something I don't think I've ever spoken about. I'm sure I've mentioned the place in passing in different YA stories that I've told. But I don't know how much detail. You know what? I think I did a while back, but I'm going to tell it again. Because I'm not sure if I really told it. I may have just mentioned it. So I want to talk about basically the California Youth Authority's version of the shoe. You know, we all know of Pelican Bay in the California Department of Corrections. And that's a very well-known shoe. The state of California in the adult system had three shoes, right? So it was Corcoran, Pelican Bay, and then Tehachapi. Prior to that, they had different, stuff they were doing, but those are the ones that are known, especially more than anything, Pelican Bay and Corcoran. Okay. Well, in the California Youth Authority, which was prison for minors up to their 25th birthday, every institution had their version of the shoe. I was only in, we don't count SRCC, and SRCC and NRCC, they don't have a shoe. They have a little box, they have the hole, but they don't have a shoe. And they don't call them shoes. And why? However, I was only in 2 YAs. We're not counting SRCC. That's reception. Anybody that went to YA and, hold on, let me get my hands in here. Allegedly went to YA, but all they really did was a 90-day op. There used to be this thing called a 90-day op. 90 days of observation that would send you to SRCC or NRCC. They would evaluate if you were fit to do time in the California Youth Authority. And they would send the recommendation back to the court. You would go back to juvenile hall and they would say, this fool is not going to make it here. They'll send them to like Boys Republic or, whatever else they were going to do with you. But, so you only count institutions. You don't count the reception, right? I was only in 2. Paso Robles and then YTS. And the shoes there in Paso Robles is Cambria. The unit is called Cambria. And in, I was going to say Pelican Bay. In YTS, it's all alphabetical. So you have one building would be, or one unit would be A and B, and then there's C and D, E and F, right? So O&R was their shoe. O&R was called The Rock. That was their shoe term. That was their shoe program. Again, it's not called shoe over there. Shoe and the CDC is Security Housing Unit. In Paso, it was IWP. Instead of SHU, it was IWP, and it stood for Incorrigible Ward Program. You did not go to Cambria for petty shit. You went to Cambria for putting in a lot of work. For staff assaults, stabbings, stuff like that. You weren't going to just go get in a fight and then be like, oh, send them to Cambria. It didn't work like that. Cambria was very few bunks or cells, right? And so you really had to be doing something there, putting in work for them to send you over there. And that was, again, this is in that world. In this world out here, the real world, it means nothing. But when you were in Paso and somebody came to your unit and had just came out of Cambria, they were afforded a lot of respect because you knew this vato right here, he had to have been putting it down if he went and did a term over there. I was there twice. I used to fight a lot. You know, everybody did, but I just happened to fight a lot, and they hate when you fight in the chow hall. Shout out to Damian Porter, the homie. Check out his channel. The second time I went was for the fight with him in the chow hall. They were just tired of my shit. They sent me back. Anyways, Paso Robles, Paso and Nellis. There was always a rivalry for some reason. You know, the guys that were in Nellis felt that Nellis was tougher. The guys in Paso believed that Paso was tougher. You know, Nellis had a lot of raza. So they were more gangbanging. Paso, we could be on a 75-man dorm and be lucky if there was 20 raza on a dorm. So in Paso, all the raza had mandatory, you had to gangbang on your enemies, but there was also a lot of race riots. You know, of course, between the Southerners and the blacks. That's just the way it was. Now, Paso and Nellis were both dorm living. Paso, I believe both, I don't know, I don't want to really speak on Nellis, I wasn't there. So I'm just going to focus on Paso. So Paso was all dorms. Then in 1990, they had built, very beginning, like, I think they finished it actually in December of 89, January of 90. They built a 270 building, but instead of leaving it wide open, there was a wall along the middle. And one side was Arroyo, the other side was Pismo. Arroyo was the fish tank. Everybody landed there when you got there. You were there, I think, 30 days, and then they ship you out to whatever compound you were going to go to. Pismo was a regular unit. I think it was like a non-board order drug program initially. And then in 1992, when they brought the raza from Northern California to Paso, they threw them, even they couldn't put them on any of the dorms. It wasn't going to happen. Right, it was just the shit jumped the day they got there. It jumped, and then the riots kept happening. There was stuff that happened, and they said there's no fucking way they're not putting them on the dorms. So they moved them all to Pismo. Nothing, no bearing on the Northerners, but as far as any Southerner that was in Pismo, once the Northerners got there, they were levas. There was only 2 homies, I believe. Maybe it was 3. They moved all the homies out that they knew were knuckleheads, and they left 3. For a fact, I know there was 2 of them, but I think it was 3. They left 2 of them for sure. And those dudes kept getting off. And the counselor was like, you guys are going to... Because I was in the hole. And the month of May is when they brought the Northerners. And so I was there when these 2, especially one, he would be in the oil, in the box, not in the shoe. He would come to the box. And that's like the county jail. And then Cambria was like prison inside of the YA, right? And he came, and I was like, what's up? Because you can't talk. They'll come and light you up if you get caught bucking on the door talking. But I was like, hey, what happened? He's like, man, I rushed him again. And then I'd hear the counselor. The counselor would come and go to his door. And he would say, hey, I know what you're trying to do. You're trying to get off. That way you can get moved out of our unit. And he goes, I'm telling you right now, you are going to do your full term because I'm going to keep putting you back. And he told him, go ahead. Sent him back, boom. As soon as he saw somebody, he got down, whatever happened, and came back. So when you were going to go to Cambria, it's IWP, you had to start off in the box. You go to the box, the pro agent would say, all right, this dude's a program failure. We're sending him to Cambria. Again, other than Pismo and Arroyo and the box and Cambria, everything. So you had 8 dorms, right? If I remember correctly, Cambria was built before the rest of the institution. And supposedly it was like a truancy thing way back in the 20s. When kids were truant, they would lock them up in that unit, right? I'm going to tell you right now, I've done a bunch of layovers You know, when I entered the CDC, people asked me, have you ever been in San Quentin? Have you ever been in Old Folsom? By the time I got to the CDC, they had just turned those two prisons into low-level prisons. I have been to San Quentin several times on layovers, tiny cells, just like YTS and YA, tiny cells. Cambria cells, well, let's just do this. So when you become a program failure and they would send you to Cambria, you would be escorted by the cops in cuffs. You get to the door and they'll push a button and that's the buzzer and the staff in there. Somebody will come and they'll yell either new arrival or they'll yell fish on the line, something. The staff will, before he opens the door, you can hear him yell it. They had two tiers, two hallways. You had A side and you had B side, right? There's 2 day rooms inside that building. They had one speaker facing each tier, and they would play fucking, I call it shoplifting music, but it's that music you hear in the elevator or when you go to a store. Right. And so I was, you know, when I was a kid, I was like, fucking shoplifting music right there. You hear that music, you want to start stealing shit. And then they would do that because they knew we hated it and they were trying to drive people crazy. Right. They would turn the music off and they would yell new arrival or whatever. Right. That was everybody's cue to get on the door. They'd open the door. As soon as they open the door, there's a painting on the wall right there of an Indian's face. And they would tell you, go talk to the Indian. You'd be like, what? Go put your face on the painting. So you go in and you just face it. You know what I mean? And they'll take your cuffs off. The escorting cops, the GSs, those are the ones dressed like the CDC cops. They take off. They're done with you. Cambria was its own world. It's like, I mean, the only time staff outside of Cambria will respond to Cambria is if it's a staff assault or stabbing. Other than that, if there's a fist fight or like, we'll get to it. So while you're facing that Indian, the staff member is going to yell, where are you from? And Abato's going to say wherever he's from. He's not going to yell it back. He's just say, I'm from woo, right? The staff member is going to yell out, oh, so you're from. That way all of your enemigos know you're there. That's what they do it for. They want everyone to know that's your enemy, that you are there. So everybody's ready. And then they're going to take you into the shower room. And then they're going to strip you out. They're going to give you your clothes for Cambria. Cambria was dimly lit. When you get there, you had to go to A side first. You go down A side and they're going to tell you what cell you're in. You walk with your hands behind your back down the middle of the corridor, right? And as you're walking down, the first thing you're going to see on your left-hand side when you're walking into the corridor, on your left-hand side, you're going to see 2 cells that have double doors. That's when you're really fucking up back there. They throw you in that motherfucker. Double doors. Then you start noticing narrow, really narrow doors, man. A bunch of them. I want to say there's 20 per tier. But they were very narrow doors, eh? Obviously not this narrow, but they were really narrow doors. Steel doors. And you know how when you see like old movies of castles and they close a door and then they put the wood down. So like a big old 2x4 or whatever, so you can't open it. Well, in Cambria, it's not wood, it's steel, and it doesn't come down like this. There's a pole that sticks up steel pole, right? Horrible. Why did I do that? Erase that. And there's a padlock under it. They unlock the padlock, they grab the thing, and they pull it back. And then they open the door and they tell you, step in. Close the door, slam it shut, padlock it. You are never coming out of that cell. Something happens, there's no way out. There's no way out of that cell. You get in the cell and there's going to be a bunk bed. There's a window with the wire mesh all around it, right? Box. And there's a toilet. It's a concrete floor. And the walls are metal. And they were welded together. It was pieced together, and they were welding it together. They didn't give a fuck on how they welded it because there's gaps. I mean, there's a big old slit and it might narrow down, and there's your neighbor. Your neighbor can see you. You can see your neighbor. Your neighbor can gas you, piss right through that crack. It was nuts in there, right? It was painted white. The wall, the metal wall. At night, you would hear the rats in between the cells in the walls. If you had a cool neighbor, you would play cards through there, that you made out of milk cartons. Chop it up all day with them. You were locked down all day. Then you get assigned to a yard group, though, and then you can come out. At one point they were, because so much was happening, they started double selling only on A side. B side, there's no bunk beds. Unless they put them in later. There was no bunk beds. You were by yourself for sure on B side. A side, if shit really got to cracking in the institution, they needed to send more people to Cambria. They might and probably would put your worst enemy in the cell with you. And every day you guys wake up, wash up, and it's up to you. Do you get down before breakfast or after breakfast? You make the call. It's your cell. But every day you're fighting. Every day the cops know they don't give a fuck. That is the one place there was zero woofing. No wolf tickets. You ain't selling no wolf tickets in Cambria. There could be a dude gets on the door, yelling out the tier, yelling out of his door to a dude 5 cells down. They have battle with each other. They have beef. They don't get along. Now, it could be a new dude that doesn't know the program. He sees, okay, they only let out 3 dudes at a time to shower under escort, right? This dude's too far away. He's not on my yard group. I'll never run into him. Yeah, okay. So that guy comes in and he starts doing this, selling them wolf tickets, barking out his door, talking shit, right? What's going to happen is, and it doesn't even have to be said, all the cells in between Big Mouth and who he's talking shit to are going to refuse shower. The cops know exactly what it means. So they'll be like, you want a shower? And Big Mouth's going to be like, yeah, I want a shower. He's going to come out. You have to be in your boxers. And that was it. Everything else is behind you. You come out, step out of your cell to the opposite side of the tier, face the wall. And then he's going to see or hear the cop go to his neighbor. You want a shower? And his neighbor will be like, I'm good. Next neighbor, you want a shower? Nah, I'm good. Then you'll see it starts setting in on his face like, oh, fuck. What's going on here? Then they get to who he's talking shit to. You want a shower? Yup. And the cop knows this dude's gonna fight that dude. Because they know it's being set up to where they have to come out on the tier together. No wolf tickets there. Then the next guy, you want to shower? Yup. Come on. The cops will back up and they'll say, take it out. That's when it goes down. Boom. And the cops will be right there watching. You guys fight and fight. When it's clear that somebody's a winner, then the cops get to have their fun. They let you get your money. And then they're going to break it up, body slam the shit out of you, pepper spray you. And if Big Ed was there, shout out to Big Ed. Big Ed was a senior there. Big Ed is, after you guys got put back in your cell, sometimes, it depended, but Big Ed is going to pull you out, take you to the small day room. There's a bunch of lockers there. And he's going to ask you, hey, are you guys good? Did you get it out of your system? Or do you want to keep going right here in this small day room? It's you and him. You guys tell me right now. A lot of times Vatos will be like, nah, I didn't get enough of that. I need some more of that. And he'll ask the other guy, you? He say, I'm gonna run it. All right. Knock on the door when you're done. He'll walk out, lock it, take off. And you guys fight. And you guys fight until you figure it out. You guys got it out of your system. You knock on the thing, hey, we're done. You say, okay. He's gonna push in a mop bucket. Mop up that blood. Clean up everything. Once you're finished mopping up, you tell the Hudas, hey man, everything's clean in here. Say, okay, here comes Big Ed. He's gonna go to the lockers, open it up, each you grab one. He's got boxes, Baby Ruths, Snickers, M&Ms. Grab the one you want. You get one. I don't want to see you guys fighting no more. You guys got it out of your system. That was Cambria. I seen dudes. I made a video about how bad the whites had it in YA. Well, I'm gonna tell you right now. There were two dudes. One of them was my neighbor, right? I want to say his name was Outlaw. I can't remember though. But him and his homeboy, you know who you are if you see this. They were from Yuba City. When I told the story about the Downers Crip and the Downers Blood, how they would never allow, a Blood or a Crip around them. The Crip one wouldn't allow no Bloods around him. He'd get off. The Blood one, same thing. No Crips can come around him, right? These two woods from Yuba City, man, Holmes, they got off as soon as they hit orientation. Got sent to the box, came out, Rushmore. They were not allowing themselves to be housed anywhere near blacks. They were in Cambria with us. They were on my yard crew. And there was in the big day room, there's two day rooms, a small day room and the big day room, and then you got the yard. Those dudes, there was a little, so you could have kitchen workers in there. There's two dudes. At one point, I was a kitchen worker with the guy that worked with me was Cree from APB, a Blood. That dude used to rap all the time. Really good, right? And they try to, there's a little window, little tiny window. And they try to open that little window and slide through, and Cree was just cracking them every time they try to stick their heads in there, and they were taking the punches, still trying to get to them. I remember another time there was a Crip from West Covina. The cops set him up. They knew these dudes would not allow it. And then not only were these were big ass white dudes too. Cops set up this Crip from West Covina. There was only one of the white dudes in there. There was three of us in the day room. It was me, the Crip dude, and the white dude. It got ugly in there. I guess you could kind of say it was similar to Corcoran, the way those fights were set up. However, the cops weren't really, for the most part. It was just, I mean, it was a trip, man. Again, shout out to Damian Porter. Check out his channel. After our fight in the chow hall, we both wound up out there together on the same yard group. That's what I'm saying. Hey, they did not give a damn. Every YA story I tell you guys, I always tell you, they didn't give a damn about nothing in there. I think the most sadistic COs, cops, group supervisors, whatever you want to call these people, that I ever did time around was in the California Youth Authority. You know, you see COs in the joint where, you know, they come in and they're clean cut and preppy, and then within a year they're shaving they have full heads of hair. They're shaving their heads. They're getting sleeved down. You hear them talking to other COs. Hey, what's up, dog? Like, damn, homie, this vato was just fucking, hey, bro. Hey, how you doing, bro? He was like that like 6 months ago. You see that, and there are some malicious COs, but in the California Youth Authority, in YA, I saw a level of evil in staff that I never saw anywhere else. And I've always said it was the most brutal place I've ever done time. Compared to any prison, adult prison, the California Youth Authority was evil. Prison is evil, but there's guidelines, there's parameters, you know, there's politics that you know, for the most part, how things are going to run. Why? Shit. Dudes in YA could just wake up like, I'm fucking somebody up today. I just don't know who yet. And they can. It can be somebody of, you know, there isn't that whole, hey, Southsiders this and hey, nah, I'm gonna go bust this fool's jaw right now. And I might even get down with this other dude, another race. Like maybe later, if I don't go nowhere, you know, I get away with that one. I call him out. Maybe we go to the bathroom and then I'm gonna fuck up this other. Okay. You know, I was gonna make a separate story. I just throw it in here. There are rules though. Like the Southerners had rules that they had to abide by, or you get dropped leva. Within the Southerners, they had all kinds of different ranflas though, right? It could be you get along with this dude from Florencia and this dude from Orange County, whatever, and there's 5 of you guys are tight like that. That's your ranfla. That's who you kick it with. But everybody has to follow the same set of rules as far as things touching the ground, being dirty, shoes on your bed, like a bunch of different stuff, right? And I remember this vato came, big dude too, raza, and he was ran down. What was expected? Hey, Holmes, look, this is the program that we're running here, Holmes, this and this and that. And the guy laughed, eh? He was like, hey, those rules apply to you, eh? Not me. I do my own thing. And Tom was like, huh? He's like, I remote. Orale, I didn't know. Hey, my bad. And there was a movement that day. And one of the homies got the metal head. You know the sprinklers, old school sprinklers? It's like the copper ones or whatever the fuck they were. Pulled that right out of the ground. And busted that dude's whole head open that night. So he would know, there's your program that you're running then. Why it was different. You be in them dorms and you be sound asleep. And those dorms, those beds squeaked a lot. Somebody moves, you hear that shit and you be dead asleep and you hear that, you start hearing. Shit. Wartime, you have a riot. Forget about it. You hear a bed squeak, you might see 5 or 6 dudes jump up out of the bed. Like, what's up? Where they at? Oh, nothing. He's just moving around. All right, get back in bed. Anyways, I wanted to just enlighten you guys about the shoe for kids. how ugly it was in there. As far as like the way it looked, it was like a dungeon. That place reminded me of a dungeon. And the violence that went on in there, I never saw staff have to respond. Oh no, I think, yeah. But anyways, that's a different day. But like I said, shit goes down in there. You don't see cops responding. Not from outside. The ones inside got it. But that's my video for today. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Everybody, please be safe, be smart, and tell the ones you love that you love them. Why did that gunshot, bro? I'm out of here.